Hello everybody, welcome back to Expedition Homestead. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I've got my kombucha by my side, this cactus in front of me, and we are ready to start some propagation on this bad boy. This mamma jamma has a ton of little pups just rearing for us to propagate, and today's video is going to be all about that. Propagating cacti is about as simple as it gets. I would go as far to even say that propagating cacti is almost easier than propagating succulents, just because of how little care and maintenance you're actually gonna have to give these guys when you're propagating and growing them. This cactus in particular, I think, is some sort of a barrel cactus. Somebody had commented and they believe that it was a golden barrel cactus, but I just really can't find confirmation on it. And since it just came from a garage sale, I'm not exactly sure what kind it is, but this general technique will work with just about any cactus you have out there if you see these pups growing around the mother plant. What we need to get started is something to protect our hands. If you are going to get spikes in your hands, it does hurt quite a bit. So this time around, I'm gonna use tongs to break and twist them off. And then I've also got a couple other utensils in here at our disposal. You can also use a knife to cut it off at the base. That also works great, and I've done that in a few videos in the past. You are also going to want some sort of tray to put your cacti into once they've calloused over. A pot works well also, but since we are doing many cuttings in this single video, I've got this little seed starting tray that I'm going to grow our cactus propagations in. All right, so we're just gonna go at this and take these pieces here and break them off. Ooh, you see this one actually has roots. It's completely broken away from the mother plant. But if we look up close, you should be able to see that it actually has roots there in the soil already. So that's perfect.
Can I put the down?
Just wait, buddy.
Oh, Dad.
Okay, so this one I'm gonna set off to the side because that can get a little bit of a special treatment compared to the extra steps that we have to take on the other cuttings here. So we're just gonna continue. And what we're gonna do with the pieces that we break off or cut off, whatever you might be doing, again, it doesn't matter, is we're gonna set them off aside into a container or on a plate or something like that. See, again, you can see some roots protruding right from that. That is great. Some of these are just popping right off. This cactus was prime for propagation because most of these, almost all of these, already have roots coming off of them and are going to start growing in no time. This essentially saves probably a couple of weeks of growth from when those roots initially shoot out of the cutting. We've got another one that was pretty deep in there, so it's got roots growing that are a couple of inches. And then a couple of other ones that are in the soil right here. What you all have to do now is, with all of the propagations that actually had a break or a cut going through the tissue of the plant, you need to set those off to the side in a container, a plate, a bowl, whatever it might be. And they are going to callus over for 3 to 7 days. It kind of depends on the general humidity of your home. But as soon as you touch that cutting on the end and feel that it is not wet, it is not humid whatsoever, it is kind of rough to the touch, it has developed a callus, and then you can place it into your dirt mixture. And that's what we're going to talk about next, is the soil content that you guys want to propagate these in. Soil content doesn't really matter when it comes to propagating these cacti. Well, yes, it does matter later on when you're growing the cacti long term. You do want a cactus mix, so something that has a lot of sand content that isn't going to be holding moisture in the soil. Obviously, that's what you want for growing your cactus long term. But when you're propagating them and taking these cuttings, it doesn't matter if you have it in a plain old soil with nothing in it. Doesn't matter if you do a peat moss mixture. Doesn't matter if you do pure sand. For all I care, the only point is to get these roots to start protruding from your cactus cutting before we transfer them into their long-term home. Now, this process can take several weeks. I mean, usually I do get to see roots within a week or two, so you should be able to look forward to the same results with your cactus plants. Let's step back a little bit though and pretend that we had these sitting for 3 to 5 days. But to be honest, I'm not even gonna do that. I've always just put them in the soil and they're just fine. But generally people want to know exactly what they should do in order to make sure that they're as successful as possible with these cuttings, and that's what you're gonna wanna do. But in my case, I'm just gonna throw them right in soil, especially since most of them have roots already and are not going to form any sort of disease, because really there aren't very many cuts on these. They kind of broke right off without doing that. What we're gonna do then is just take them and twist them into the soil a little bit. Sure, you can do a couple. Here, just be careful, they're still sharp. And this is what they all look like in the seed starting tray. We have 14 little cactus that are gonna start growing now, just within a couple minutes of work. And with the cactus that already have a bunch of roots coming from them, you again can put them right into soil without any worry whatsoever of any disease or rot happening from too much humidity in a part of the plant that is not calloused off. So I put everything into the soil right away, but if you guys want to play it safe, callus your cactus cuttings for a few days and then place them into the soil. Now we got to talk about watering. What I will do for this very first day is mist them after they have been put into the soil, after they've calloused over. I will give them a nice misting for about a week. This is going to help encourage those roots come out a little bit more than if you weren't doing the misting technique. I've just found the best results using this method. Instead of watering the entire tray, I'm just gonna give it a misting for 1 week. After that point, you can start your regular watering schedule. With all of my cactus plants, this usually requires me to water them about once every 3 to 4 weeks, give or take, depending on the time of the season and then the humidity of the home as well. So I'm going to be watering a little bit more during the summer months and a little bit less during the winter months. Another tip when it comes to your cactus care and your propagations that we've made here today is going to be giving them as much sunlight as you possibly can. Clearly, they're cactus, they love sunlight. Give them as much as you can, and if you don't have enough for them, get a cheap grow light. There's a ton of viable options out there that you guys can get for around 50 bucks, I would say. With that being said, I hope your cactus propagations and cactus in general are flourishing and thriving in your home. Happy gardening, and we'll see you in the next episode.